This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
And attempt to blow up a Northwest Airlines flight en route to Detroit on Christmas Day 2009. Reviews by the White House and the Senate Intelligence Committee found that a number of warnings had been missed. President Obama noted, "This was a failure to connect and understand the intelligence that we already had." And he ordered the intelligence community to improve its ability to analyze and understand the information it receives. This book argues that this conventional wisdom is wrong. When we compare cases of intelligence failure with those of intelligence success, we find that the first law of intelligence failure is broken. Before most surprise attacks or other strategic surprises, the necessary signals were not there. And it is highly unlikely that surprise could have been avoided if only imaginative intelligence agencies and analysts had been able to connect the dots and understand the signals amid the noise. The problem is that most intelligence available before surprise attacks is general and nonspecific, producing what is often termed strategic warning. As a study by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, put it, this strategic intelligence allows policymakers to see the smoke of a growing threat, but not the flames that tell them where and when to take action against it. This does not mean, however, that surprise, at least in the case of surprise attacks, can never be avoided. This book argues that intelligence can succeed, and surprise attacks can be prevented, but not by increasing the ratio of signals to noise or by improving the ability of analysts to connect the dots. Instead, this book proposes a theory of preventive action that helps explain why intelligence can in some cases succeed and in other cases fail to foresee and prevent surprise attacks. Two key factors are required for intelligence to become actionable and useful in preventing attacks. The first is that it must provide very precise warning about the threat, at a level of specificity that many experts might reflexively dismiss as tactical-level intelligence and consider not useful in dealing with the most important threats. But this book will show that the specificity of tactical-level intelligence, as opposed to broad strategic-level intelligence, is much more likely to convince policymakers that there is an imminent threat and that action is thus imperative. This leads to the second critical factor, that the policymakers must be receptive to the intelligence with which they are provided. A more expansive discussion of preventive action follows in Chapter 1. The conventional wisdom is wrong. What is wrong with the conventional wisdom? This popular view, the first law of intelligence failure, is persuasive and appears to be based on more than a half-century of experience in the United States and elsewhere, and a great deal of research and study by academics and practitioners. For example, an intelligence community task force in 1992 went so far as to argue that all major intelligence warning failures of the past 5 decades were the result of a failure to understand and analyze the raw information available, and not the result of a lack of information. But this conventional view is incorrect, largely because most major studies of intelligence failure and surprise attack suffer from 2 serious limitations. The first limitation of this literature is that it is based on studies of cases in which surprise attacks succeed and intelligence fails. This means that it can tell us little about what makes intelligence succeed. A second limitation of much existing work is that it results from historians, other scholars, and intelligence experts looking at past failures with 20/20 hindsight, through which missed signals appear to be much clearer than they were perceived at the time. The problem of hindsight bias makes it very difficult for us to understand today just what intelligence officials thought, or should have thought, about the information and warnings they received in the past. To test the conventional wisdom about intelligence failure, we need to be able to overcome both these limitations. The primary method used in this book is to compare cases of intelligence failure with cases of intelligence success, using in-depth case studies that help us understand for each case what intelligence was available and what decision-makers thought about that intelligence at the time.